Okay.
Okay, for
Okay, we're good.
real
We're
this
good.
time.
What's up?
What's
What's
up?
up?
Um, you go first. I feel like we just talked and I was talking for a while.
Okay. Well, I am home right now. Home is
Mm.
amazing. Good food. Enjoying my time here. I guess I can talk about the trip a little bit. I
Mm-hmm.
feel that either I am following natural calamities or natural calamities are following
What
me
happened now?
because not now, but like last time I told you about the Chennai trip, right? Yeah, basically last year I went to Gujarat, and then there was a cyclone there, Buparjoy,
Oh,
and we were doing a road trip and whatnot in that cyclone. And then this year, when I wanted to meet my friends after like super long, this was our first trip together. We were going to Kodaikanal in Tamil Nadu, and then I was supposed to fly into Chennai. All my friends were supposed to fly to Chennai, and there was this again huge flood and cyclone in Chennai the day I was supposed to fly in. Don't know what's happening. And then later on, you saw that the message on the group where there's volcano erupting
oh,
in
right. I
Indonesia.
totally forgot about that. Oh my God, dude, I think I don't want you to come. I will go without you.
I know, right? I saw that. I saw that on the flight, like while I was boarding the flight to Chennai, to Madurai. And I was like, dude, I am going there for New Year's. What is happening? But anyways,
Did you
um,
did you happen to travel to Chennai around 2014, 2015?
mm-mm.
That was the first floods.
Bye.
I was just wondering.
I see. Oh, no. No, I have not been there for all of them. Yeah, but just funny that it's sort of 3 on 3 right now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe nothing
Uh,
will happen when we go to Indonesia, right?
yeah, that was a
It was
different
also
island,
different
anyways.
mountain.
Different island, yeah.
Oh, different
So, but
island even. Okay.
different island, yeah. Should be okay. We'll see. We'll find out. What else? Let's see. Oh, during the trip, the two of my friends, they have learned and they do singing. Basically, they sing. They have learned singing.
What do you mean? During
Uh,
the trip, they learned singing.
no. They have learned already in childhood and
Okay.
stuff. But we were jamming during the trip, and that was so fun. So
Mm-hmm.
like I sort of like sang with them and this that, and I found out that I think I can sing. So now
Oh,
I'm like super excited and I'm gonna sign up for courses and shit. So that's part
oh,
of my 2024 to-do list. I'm gonna sign up for some singing courses. And I think I mean anything you can learn, right? So I was thinking I'll explore this a little bit and how that goes.
yeah. I was just somehow like, I mean, it makes sense that there are singing courses, but that's just something I never thought about. Like, oh yeah, you can take singing
Yeah.
courses. Why
And
not?
yeah, exactly. So this is one thing, of course, is the importance of mentors here. A lot of things I've tried to learn by myself, like ukulele, and like I just get excited and I try to learn. But I feel for this, having a good mentor, just having a mentor would definitely help. Um,
Mm,
and if these friends of mine could learn from scratch, so can I. So I'm excited for that. And there was another thing about this. Um, yeah, about people as well, like surrounding yourself with people who are doing different interesting things. Because again, right, I saw these people doing this. That sort of inspired me to think about this. I would not have otherwise, most probably. So yeah,
yeah.
that was fun. What's up with you?
What's up with me? Yeah, okay, I guess to restate what we were briefly talking about before, I have restarted experiments, which is a funny thing to say as
No.
a PhD student. A lot of them are probably like, what do you mean restarted? Why weren't you doing your experiments? Uh, but I guess this might be more common among hybrid scientists. I don't know how many of them
Yeah,
are out there.
yeah.
But yeah, I basically took a break to do a lot of computational work for quite some time. I want to say it's been at least 2, 3 months, probably.
How did that
Um,
go?
it was productive,
Hmm.
but I think I have sort of exhausted the different things I could do. There's still a few things, but I feel like all the main things that had to be done are sort of done.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, so either it's time to like go and validate some of those things, which needs to be done, of course, or
yeah,
like generate some new data that gives me more things to work on. So that's why this push towards doing more experiments now.
yeah, yeah.
It has been nice, but it comes with its own thing. Like, I don't know if it's related, but lately, right, I have been doing a lot of adjacent things. Um, there is a perfect meme that captures my feeling. I shared this with you. We'll go back to that later. But basically, feeling a bit disconnected from work. Not that I'm not doing it. There's still it's the work still, takes up a big chunk of my day, even my week, I suppose. But at the same
Mhm.
time, it's I'm not my mind is not 100% into it. Um, so I've been like doing a lot of other things on the side. So I've been cooking a lot. Uh,
Oh,
there was some
okay.
episode, I don't know if we talked about it on the pod, but you were basically saying how you were cooking for yourself. And I was
Yeah,
like, oh, I
yeah,
like cooking, but cooking alone is kind of like it's not my thing.
yeah.
Totally changed my mind on that. It's pretty cool.
It is, right? It is like you think about, okay, let's do this. You look up recipes and then you get your ingredients. It is
Exactly.
quite
And
therapeutic. And then eventually you get an end result right there in like half an hour, 1 hour. You eat it.
yeah,
It's
my
amazing.
my initial thing was like why I was a bit against cooking alone is the social aspect, right? When you cook for multiple people, it's usually the same amount of work, maybe slightly different, but not a whole lot more. But then you get the benefits of like eating with people. So I would always only cook if it's for more than, one or two people. Uh, but I realized, I guess I never thought about it. If I'm cooking alone, it's a lot more flexible. I can make anything I want, which is not the
Hmm.
case when, you're making for other people, because usually there's restrictions. And there's also this,
Right.
I think for me at least, I'm less likely to try new stuff because I don't want to fuck something
Oh,
up, right? Like, don't want
absolutely.
to feed them
Absolutely.
horrible things. But if I'm going to eat it, I'm
Absolutely.
totally fine to try something new.
Right, right, right. I agree. I
Yeah.
agree. Mm.
So I think that was the most exciting part because I got to try a lot of new dishes. Not a lot of them
Nice.
worked, but the ones that did, that was like, whoa, I was genuinely
Amazing.
impressed.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. It's like good, like quick progress that you can see, and you can work on
Mm,
it like all the time. You can just look up recipes, and it's
true,
quite fun. Good
true,
for you.
true. And you get to eat it. So I guess that is nice also.
That is the best part.
Yeah, so cooking a lot. What
Hmm.
else? I have been reading a lot. I'm reading
What
two
are you
books
reading?
at the same time.
Nice.
Um, well, the first one, which I finished recently, is Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. It's
You read that before, right?
yeah, I have read
You're
it. I'm
rereading it?
rereading it. I'm re-listening. Actually, I read it before. I'm listening to it now,
Hmm.
which is pretty cool because it was first like a radio program that was adapted into a book. So I think when they did the narrated version of it, they kept the elements of the radio program,
I see.
right? So it has like a certain flair to it that is different from regular audiobooks, because normal audiobooks are just narration, but this has like
Hmm.
some sound effects. Uh,
Oh.
Not a lot of it, but
Hmm.
it's just, I guess, made with a bit more of the audio in mind by default.
Hmm.
It's a great book, which I've always loved, but this audio version of it has been quite enjoyable. So
Nice. I have not
reading
read this book
that,
actually. I've heard a lot about it, but I haven't read. I should read.
yeah, it's a series. It's like 5 books. Highly recommend it. Like, it's one of those
Hmm.
books. It's very old. I don't know exactly when it was written. Definitely 1900s.
Hmm.
So some of the bits might feel a bit outdated. Like, you can tell its age in some parts. But despite that, it's I would say it's still edgy. Can you
Hmm.
imagine, writing edgy content 50 years ago?
That's
That I
very
think is
impressive.
like the true accomplishment, right? You can't even say that of movies that came out 5 years ago.
Now,
There's very
yeah.
few edgy movies,
Hmm.
but this one really nails it.
That's cool.
So
I'll check it
that
out.
yeah, that's one. The second book I've been reading, physical book, not even Kindle. Can you believe that?
Hmm.
Um,
I'm a
it
big fan of physical books. I absolutely like
yeah.
the chances of me finishing a physical book is way higher than finishing something online.
Yeah, I mean, I know, like, I think that's usually the normal status quo, but I had this long era, let's say, where I was actively preaching against physical books, saying, oh, it's all romanticism, just get a Kindle, it's way more practical, blah, blah, blah. But now I'm going back on it a little bit. Reading a physical book is nice. This
What
one
is this book?
is Lion City. So it's the history of Singapore, um,
Oh,
by some guy called Jeevan something. I've never heard of the guy, and he looked pretty young. It's not a book that I got recommended or something. I was just at the library one day. It seemed interesting. I picked it up. Honestly, it did not have much expectations at all, because I don't really read history. And like I said, I didn't think much of this author guy just from looking at him and profiling him. But surprisingly, it's very good. Like I think he writes really well. It keeps you
Mhm.
hooked.
That's
Um,
nice.
and I'm not sure if I never realized I like history and I'm just finding out now, or I actually don't like history, but he's written it in such a way that I find it nice. So
Hmm.
we'll find
I
out.
mean,
Maybe if I,
eventually history is stories only, right? I think it's more of that. The way he has projected this story is resonating with you.
true. So if it is that, then I guess it's a very good blend between fiction and nonfiction in some. I mean, it is nonfiction, but like I guess you still get the story component. So I was
Mm-mm.
thinking maybe I should read more history books, like at least try them out.
Mhm. Cool.
Yeah. What else? This is a long intro, but um, also been playing a lot of video games, which I guess is not surprising. That tends to happen decently often. Um, with friends, of course. So that's been fun. Also been exercising. That's what experiments has gotten me to do. Actually got me to go out and get some exercise. Yeah. So I don't know where I was going with this. Basically, doing a lot of adjacent things, which is good in a way. And I think in a way, it was a way to like refresh, right? So that like you get more motivation. But at the same time, I feel like it's not a great strategy to get more connected with work. I think what I really need is to like do more of the work stuff. I think that is what will get me engaged.
Mm.
Um, yeah, which is like which is always a thing you want to consider, right? Like when you're feeling like unmotivated with work for whatever reason, yeah, what is the cause? Like, do you need a break? And do you need to like do something else, reset, come back? Or do you like just need to approach the work in a different way, find something more interesting?
Mm.
Yeah, this is like a very regular question that I come up with. And honestly, I don't think there's like one very clear answer.
Mm.
Yeah, so I'm just grappling with that right now.
Mhm. Yeah, sometimes I think we can come out of this rut without even knowing what changed, what sort
Mm,
of, resulted in the excitement that you have now. That happens with me a lot of times. Like sometimes I will get a little about something. I don't even know why that is happening. Sometimes, of course, it's like lack of good results that can demotivate you, or sometimes it's just too much work. Feel a little bored, you feel a little burnt out. But then after some time doing some random things, you do come back, and you sort of don't realize what helped.
yeah, yeah. Okay, maybe that's a good time to transition into because I really want to show that meme.
Let's do it. Okay, so today we are actually going through some of the memes that we have collated.
The the first wait, so you already introduced. I'm glad you did that. So basically we're doing like a meme review or like a weird meme review format. I think if people are on Spotify, they should be able to see this in the Spotify app. Of course, this will show on YouTube, but I think if they are on other platforms, right now we don't have video. So maybe I will also link it or something, link the meme so that people can click through them.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so meme number one related to our intro. Uh, I guess I'll do brief descriptions for the
Mhm.
audio people just in case. So it's just a picture of a, I don't know how to explain her expression. It's a mixture of confusion and surprise at the same time. And she looks a bit concerned as well. Anyway, so there's this lady just staring at a computer, and the title is, Wow, woman experiencing burnout even though she doesn't work that hard. And that's it. I thought, damn, that is so relatable.
It
I actually
is.
tried to find the article from which this is a screenshot of.
Mhm.
It's really not much. The headline is the
Okay.
full story. There's this
Okay.
lady
Yeah.
who I think is like a video editor. So and she doesn't get a lot of work. She said she does
Mhm.
something like 3 or 4 8-hour days in a week. And then the rest of the time she's free. Like there's just not much
Okay.
work. And
Yeah.
she also doesn't ask about it because she doesn't want to do
Mhm.
more work. Fair enough.
Mhm.
but somehow she's feeling unmotivated, not a lot of energy, like fatigue, blah, 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 with
Yeah.
like typical symptoms of burnout. And she has no idea why. And I
This
was
is
like,
really relatable. I think for the both of us, we tend to do work, and then, like, at least for me actually, like, I do work, and then but I don't do a lot of wet lab work. I don't either do a lot of dry lab work. I mean, it's happening, and then you still feel this feeling of this lady, this exact expression about, I
yeah,
think I might burn out, even though I've really not done much. It's
yeah, which
hilarious.
is, I mean, I think there is something to it. Like, jokes aside, right? I don't think the only way you can burn out is from working too hard, right? Like, of course, I
That's
think
true.
if your job for like whatever reason is not like fulfilling your desires or something, I think that will lead to it. So I think there's
Yeah.
something there.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I think you have a point there. Even while you're not working, it's something we can work on actually, but work is constantly on your head, even if you want it or not. Like, even right now, I am at home, I'm chilling, I'm not doing anything, I'm having good food. There's nothing to stress about. Like, I wake up in the
yeah.
morning, but still at the back of my head, it is still there. Okay, I need to, finish this stuff. Where can I take this? What sort of experiments I need to do when I get back? But there's no use of that. I mean, of course, thinking is useful, but this sort of thinking is not really useful, where you're not
Mhm.
actively thinking, but these are just like sort of thoughts which are moving around without any purpose.
Yeah, there is that thing where um like some work related thoughts are like just looming around in your head, like you said, right? That don't necessarily lead to anything, like you're not acting on them. Uh, that can be exhausting, tiring. But I think even if it's not that exhausting or tiring angle of burn, I don't know if it's fair to call it burnout, but I was basically thinking where um like your work is just not like for some reason sparking that, to use this language, like sparking some joy in you, right?
Mhm.
And this is not to say that
Hmm.
this job is a bad thing or something, but
Yeah.
we work on the same thing for years on end. Like, of course, at some points you will get like distance from it, not find
Hmm.
that so interesting. And I think that's when that can also happen, even if you are like being like you're optimizing for work-life balance, right? You're doing all these activities on the side, and
Hmm.
not working that hard as that lady put it.
Yeah.
I think it's still possible that you might lose interest, at least like
Hmm.
momentarily, right? Like this
Right. Right.
this
Right.
happens in waves. So I think you
I
just have to be
agree.
mindful of that.
And
Like, I
especially in
feel,
research, I think, where our motivation does come from direction, right? From like results and from getting
Mhm.
new insights. And there's so much luck there as well. You might be working quite hard, even with your work-life balance, whatever, but there would be points where you do not get anywhere. You are really doing all those experiments, you're really thinking, and you're really asking big questions, but there's a possibility there's really nothing there, or you're not able to reach there. That's also sort of demotivating, right? You're like, okay, I'm doing so much, but still there's nothing coming out of whatever I'm doing, and then there's nothing to look forward to.
yeah, 100%. The thing to say about this, like, I don't know how much of, like, definitely true for research. I don't know if it's a research specific thing, but I would also say that it's like a personality specific thing, right? If you're somebody who's very like motivation, inspiration driven, I think things like this will tend to affect you more, as opposed to
Hmm.
you're someone who's what's a better word, like who's like plan driven, or like these are
Hmm.
the things that have been assigned, either
Yeah.
you assigned yourself or someone else has assigned for you. You just
Yeah.
finish them off, uh, and that's what you derive pleasure from. Okay, that's done.
That's a
I
good
guess now
point.
you can go
That's a
do
good
something
point.
else. I think they don't experience this kind of burnout so much.
Hmm. That makes sense. Yeah. Then, I mean, yeah, within our labs, we can see this such examples of people, right? Who
Yeah, I
some
was
of them really
thinking
are like, okay, I
exactly.
come in at like 8 a.m. I do this much. I leave at 6 p.m. And like, yes, I have done all the things that I was supposed to do.
Yeah, so in that case, I guess negative results doesn't hurt so much. But
Right.
yeah,
True.
yeah,
True.
maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I think, yeah, it's really has to be a balance between these two. You do need the motivation angle, but you also need this practicality angle where even in the such bad times, you can still follow through and you can still push through.
Hmm. Yeah, and the only reason I try to make that distinction is like when I'm feeling very invested in the project and I'm feeling very inspired, this notion of
Mm-hmm.
hard work doesn't bother me. Like if I'm very into the problem, I can spend
Hmm.
like a ridiculous amount of time on it and not feel
Hmm.
tired. Like
I
even
get
though
it.
now I'm
I get
putting
it.
more time, yeah, so I
I
feel
get
like
it.
there is a disconnect there in terms of
Hmm.
the work, the hours you put into it.
Mm-hmm. So, have like maybe describe to me any of such phases where you were super excited, super motivated, and were working work stuff only, not non-work. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, maybe this is like a I was just thinking about it. So in the beginning of this year, right? Um, there was a point where I had just finished my like this big just generating this big data set. So until that point the project felt like very slow moving, but at that point there was like a huge amount of data out, and I could analyze it doing using tools and stuff that I like to use. So that was like a phase where that was quite exciting, I would say. And I can clearly see in those few months, um the quality of my work was way above the average that I do. Like I was checking edge cases that I normally would be like, oh, come on, that's not going to make a difference. I was checking things that didn't have to be checked. It's just like the level of the standards had just suddenly risen so much. And
Yeah.
it did not at all weigh in on me because I was in some ways
Mm.
doing it voluntarily. And I think it's
Yeah.
because I was so invested in it and so
Yeah.
interested in it, that putting in all that extra time didn't matter. But I can think of so many
Mm.
cases when I wasn't so, invested, then that level of rigor and like redundancy would
Mm.
just crush me. I'm like, why am I doing this? Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So I guess what was I trying to say? Yeah, that it always comes in waves. So the year when it started out, it was a pretty high. Then I think in the towards the middle of it, it sort of lulled. Then there's a slight peak again. Now I don't know where I am. Going up, coming up. I have no idea. I guess we'll figure out with the new year. It's kind
Yeah.
of in
Yeah.
between now.
Hmm. Yeah. I think New Year is a good time to sort of reset, really reevaluate things that are happening, and you can restart, even though things are not so great right now, in whichever way.
Hmm. Okay, should we do next one?
Hmm. Actually, the peaks one would have followed well here, but I don't know if you have it.
This one is
This basically
pretty.
summarizes what we just said in
This
like in the
whole
past
conversation.
2 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Why is
yeah,
this
do you
Joe
want it? I think
over?
you should do this.
Why is it Joe over though? It's so Joe over. Some
Jover. I don't know. Maybe it's some Joe Rogan reference. I don't fucking know.
maybe. Okay. Actually, I don't remember what why was I so excited at that point? I don't remember.
It
But
is
yeah,
random
basically
sometimes.
it is. Yeah. So basically I think this happens to me quite often. And this one time I was just excited about something. I don't remember now anymore. But I texted
Wait,
Madan about,
first
yeah.
do the first describe the meme for the audio bros and then tell us.
Okay, for the audio bros, this meme is basically journey through with so x-axis has time and y-axis has your state, your sort of
Yeah,
mental state,
yeah.
and then it is really going everywhere. So some parts are sort of stable, but then there are mostly ups and downs, peaks all over. Some peaks are going down towards depression, where it says it's so over, and then you sort of go back to normalcy, and then you really go up where you're like excited about something, and then you're like, we are so back, and then it
Yeah.
suddenly drops back
And
again to it's so over. And it just
yeah,
keeps
and
going on
the
and on.
the down peak is like major depression and the up peak is like mania. I
Yeah,
think that is
yeah,
pretty true.
yeah. It is. And like when you shared this with me, so basically I texted him about when I was really excited about something. Then he mentioned to me, you're really like this meme, where states goes up and down very frequently. This meme feels very relatable. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess quite relevant to the conversation we had just now, like you said. Um,
Yeah, this is
I
I
don't
think
know.
yeah,
I
very,
guess
very, very true in research, in life as well, but within research, really very true.
because I guess you never know where things are headed and things change very quickly.
Yeah. Like some small like, result can really excite you a lot. And then there are parts where you're working for something for so long, it does not work. self-died, whatever. And then it's like, okay, it's so over. Let me just like go and die in peace somewhere.
Oh shit, should I have stopped sharing for this part?
Oh yeah. It's okay.
Okay, I'll
Let's move on
remember.
to the next one. I
Hmm.
will I will remind
Okay,
this time.
so this was actually a wave of memes where this was, I think, right when I forget which AI model is, but there was some significant bump in the performance of one of these AI models that could generate images based on prompts. And people suddenly started doing this thing where they would take some image. So in
Mm-hmm.
this case, it's Sisyphus. This
Yeah.
guy is, I think, Greek. In Greek mythology, this character who gets punished for, I don't know what he did, but he basically has to push a huge boulder up a mountain. And then when it's at the top, the boulder gets pushed down, and then he has to go down and then push it all the way up. And then he does this for eternity, right? So there's a picture of him. They give it to the AI model and they tell it to make him happier.
Oh, actually, before we move
Okay.
on, I remember this name only from Andy's presentation. That's when I got introduced to this person. But what's the
Mm-hmm.
story behind this? Like, I understand he's doing this again and again, but what is it trying to tell?
No, he gets punished for something, and then it's like a metaphor for like the eternal grind of life or something. Like, uh, he was a
Does he
devious
still have?
tyrant who killed visitors to show off his power. So the violation of the sacred hospitality tradition angered the gods, and they punished him, yeah, by
Devastating
making him do
exercise.
this.
Okay, okay, I see, I see. Cool, go
Yeah,
on.
that's the story. But I think people in like the imagery is so iconic that people interpret it differently, right? Like you're pushing
Hmm.
this thing up a boulder. There seems to
Hmm.
be no end to it. It's kind of pointless because when you push it all the way up, it's gonna come back down anyway.
Yeah,
Kind of vibes.
but you still have that
Um,
motivation to still do it, even though you know about the end.
yeah, I guess so. I guess so. Um, Anyway, so I'll tell you why I brought this up, right? So
Mhm.
this thing where clearly he's struggling or whatever, and people's reaction is like, make it happier, right? And
Hmm.
then it does it. Like he's like looking slightly more happy, things are more
Hmm.
colorful.
Hmm.
Then it gets like way happier. So they keep doing it. Then they take the second image and they say, make him even more happier,
Hmm.
right? And then it keeps going, and then it
Hmm.
gets to like this very quickly, very ridiculous, uh, insane, very psychedelic kind of vibes. Uh,
Yeah,
Let me stop sharing.
yeah. The
And
rock is
that was
also so
quite, I
happy.
found that quite interesting because this became a trend, right? And people were doing this with lots of stuff. So someone would take a cat and then they would say, make the cat happier, or like, I think even cuter or something. And
Hmm.
this is a small tangent, but surprisingly, somehow as they kept doing it, eventually it would all look like the same image. It's very LSD-ish. There is like some universe thing
Connection.
going on, stars in the background. Um, which is quite funny. Like either that's what our collective conscious thinks ultimate reality is like, because AI models in some ways are just parroting what we are saying, right? Um, or maybe there's something true to it that if you just
Hmm.
dial up perception to max, you get some LSD like experience. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
But I think
tangent
that
aside.
that is like max euphoria, right? Where else can you experience that? How else can you? What else matches that level of euphoria?
Yeah, but I like it's funny that the imagery looks the same, right? Like you can
Hmm.
take a picture of Sisyphus and then turn that into something that looks very much like what an artist on LSD would draw. I just thought that was curious. But that tangent aside, I had a reason for bringing this up. So this blew
Hmm.
up, and people from every field were doing it, right? So the tech pros would take like a venture capitalist or something, um, okay, no, there's too many inside jokes to explain that. But let's just say that people from all fields and domains were like doing this joke of like, make it more, make it more, make it more. And then, of course, the researchers stepped in, right? So
Hmm.
there was the
Oh,
scientists,
oh.
and then their prompt. So everybody's doing things like make it happier, make him more satisfied with life or something. And then the scientists step in, and then they say, they give a picture of a postdoc and say, make him more tired.
Oh my God.
and then it's like more tired until he looks absolutely depressed. Then there is a bioinformatician. Okay, he starts with a bioinformatician. I forget the exact word. It was some pretentious word, but it was basically like make him look more overwhelmed with work.
Hmm.
Right? And then this is a trend. Like that is what this entire space is doing. And I got so pissed by it
It
because
is.
I think it really represents, it's like a real problem in the community.
Oh my
Like,
God, you brought up such an important point here, man. Really, like if
yeah,
you're working hard, you need to be miserable. That is how it's
exactly.
perceived in this field for some reason.
And I know the funny part is the other people who are doing it, like these venture capitalists, these programmers, they are probably also working 80, 90 hours a day, sorry, a week, not a day.
No,
And they,
yeah.
yeah, and they are not saying anything remotely close to this. They are like make him more, feeling like this is a bit of a joke, but for the VCs it was like make him look more in the arena, which is like a inside thing.
What does that mean?
There's this one guy who's very cliched VC, and he said he referred to being in the space of doing investments and all as being in the arena, like a Roman arena, like gladiators and stuff. Um,
Whoa,
yeah, people were like, "Okay,
got it.
bro, calm
Got
down,"
it.
and then they made fun of him a bit, but it's become a meme now. It's like a cherished, cute thing.
I
Um,
see, I see.
yeah, anyway, so the reason I brought it up because yeah, I think this is like a really really prevalent problem we have, like the online
Hmm.
discourse
Yeah.
around research. I think
Hmm.
I don't it's probably true for all research, but I definitely see it in the biology space a lot, where yeah, the way to talk about your problems is to yeah, just I mean the way to like just talk about anything, like even joke about things is like, oh, we work so hard. Oh, we're so underpaid. Oh, life is so sad.
Hmm.
Oh, I'm so depressed.
Hmm.
Like,
Hmm.
God, just shut up sometimes. Yeah, I
Yeah.
got sick of it. I don't know if there's a solution. I don't understand it even. I think maybe in the past it kind of made sense, right? Like you also mentioned that this is some kind of like a way to let off the steam, like you joke about it and then you can get over it. I see that, but I'm not fully convinced by it. I think
Hmm. No, I
you
agree.
would
I agree. I
be
mean, I sort of said that in the context of those memes that we were discussing, but in real life also, it is just so prevalent.
no, don't you think there's always like it's said in a tone of where it's supposed to be a joke. So even this tired stuff, it's sent as a joke, I'm sure they also kind of mean it as a joke.
Hmm.
um but my problem is just like, why make a joke like that? You could have
Hmm.
made a joke that is like more positive, and people still got people to laugh without having
Hmm.
this effect.
Right, 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 right. Yeah. I'm actually, yeah, I agree. I agree with that point. But even apart from the joking bit, I feel people really think of this as seriously as well.
Yeah, that is there.
Yeah, yeah. I think of course, it is more so in research, but even in general, I feel like if you are successful, like if people see you as successful, you have to be really working crazily hard. Maybe it is in some part true. You do need that to reach that success, but things that sort of don't need as much hard work are not really respected as much either. I'm thinking about like some creative fields, for example. Um, a doctor or like such professions are really respected way more than um, an artist. Or of course there are some artists who are really popular and people respect them a lot, but if you general, like right now, an okay doctor versus an okay artist, obviously an okay doctor would be respected way more.
Yeah, I mean, societally there is that thing. um I mean, when you were talking about this, I was reminded of Rick Rubin, so I was smiling. uh Absolute Chad. But no, what did I want to say? Yeah. So I guess the thing that I found also particularly annoying is this wave started with the computer scientists doing it, right? These programmers doing it. And I feel like they're probably working even harder, might I say. I don't know. It seems like it, right? They definitely put in the hours, and they are not annoyed about it. And I think their job is also not um okay, I don't know the exact problem, but I feel like one of the problems is maybe researchers perceive their job as low status in some ways, maybe
Hmm.
because it doesn't pay enough.
Hmm.
whereas these other jobs, even though it's the same amount of work, they get paid a lot. So then they're not so
That's
annoyed by
true.
it.
That's true. Yeah.
So then if
Mm.
that's really true, right, then it's the person's problem. Like
Just
it's
leave.
in
Go do that high
yeah,
paying
go
job.
if you want more money, go do something that gives you more money, right? If you want,
Yeah.
I don't know, less
But I
hours.
mean, in a way, you want to be sort of respected. You want to be like, oh, I do this amazing creative research job. I'm doing
Yeah,
good.
exactly. Like that
I'm
that
yeah, I'm doing this
that
laborious
is what
thing.
I
I'm finding
was
the answers to these problems and whatnot.
Yeah, that is exactly what I was getting at. I feel like all of this might be coming from people who get into research for the wrong reasons. Like maybe they are thinking that this is a high status job, or I don't know, like, because we, in some ways, it's default, right? If you're somebody who's very smart, people think that, oh, research is like the best thing you can do because you're very smart. And then they come here, they realize it's underpaid, the hours are long, and I guess then they become, I don't know,
Mm.
annoyed about it. So
Mhm.
yeah, I feel like if that is the case, then yeah, just go do something else, right? This is not the only thing in life. There's so many other things you can do. You probably be happier doing other stuff.
Right,
Like,
right, right. I mean, of course, again, there are some, I don't know the percent again, but there are some disproportion of people who are really in it for the science, really going crazy. And even if they look miserable from outside, they are happy. They are content with
hmm,
what they're doing. It's just their life and that's how they're living it. But for the other side of people that we were discussing who we are saying should leave, it's not as easy as well, I guess, to sort of, now figure out, oh, let me just do this, let me try a blah and see how things go. For them, for the longest time, they have been doing research. This is all they know. And making this jump is not as easy. And there's also a little bit of fear and shame, I guess. There it might also be like, oh, I'm, now leaving this after doing so long because now I was not able to make it. I feel like a little bit of a failure. So
100%.
let me rather just stay here, keep on doing, keep on trying. Maybe I would, um, reach where I was trying to.
Yeah, yeah. Like that is what I was kind of getting at. I think for whatever reason, there is like a disconnect between this job being not the best thing for you, but you still not wanting to give up on it for whatever reason. Like either
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
you've made it a priority for yourself, you've attached some self-worth to it, or you're worried about what
Hmm.
other people will say, all these other,
Hmm.
things. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
just
I
just
mean,
words.
these things, like agreed, these points which are sort of inherent to what you're doing currently, but also the fear of being able to do the next thing. If you now
Hmm.
like, okay, chuck this, I do X, I'm gonna go get into software, IT, whatever. Again, like completely new land. You don't know how you're gonna do. Right now you have so much flexibility. Right now you have um, this comfortable space. You know what you're
Yeah.
doing. The fear of unknown, basically.
Hmm. True. Yeah. Don't know. I just feel like, I mean, whatever it is, I just feel like people would like figure this out and not come on Twitter and like just, make that place like a wretched thing to interact with. Like, really, every other PhD meme page is just posting like sad, depressing stuff. I really, for once, wish someone would do something more wholesome. Like,
That can be
focus on the
us.
bright
We
side.
can let's try to create some like wholesome memes and we can, share them. Let's try that.
Yeah,
Let's think
yeah,
on it.
yeah. It's been I did like that's definitely on my mind. I think if I find some stuff or even make some stuff, I definitely wanna
Yeah.
like 100 like Visa has this talking point, right? He calls it focus on the things you want to see more of, right?
Mm.
And there's many ways you can interpret this, but um pretty much don't do what I'm doing right now, which is bitching about all the pages that are doing these sad content. And instead I should focus more on like making like nicer
Hmm.
content, like basically do what I want to see
Yeah.
more of. So
Yeah.
I agree. Let's
Yeah.
let's do
I
that.
agree. I agree. Absolutely. Yeah. I think this also connects to the point of surrounding yourself with people who have this, growth mentality, positive mentality. Um, I don't know how you can do that actively. Like I think right now we still have like some people who are more positive in terms of looking at research and in terms of doing what they are doing apart from research as well. But it's really absolutely essential to surround yourself with such people who want to do, new things, who see positivity in life in general.
Yeah. Yeah, just
Got super
like,
serious.
yeah, might you dare enjoy your work a little bit? Oh, how scandalous.
And actually, I mean, you know what? We are actually so lucky to be able to do what we do. When I come out of that space and I see other people who are doing other jobs, of course, a lot of different jobs have different types of stresses, different types of challenges. But I think we really have this opportunity to enjoy what we're doing because we are not working for a manager. We are not working for these deadlines and like these clients and things like that. It's really this one problem that you picked up and you're trying to just, go ahead and do it, find it out. There's nobody asking you to figure it out. You're doing it for yourself. What else can you ask for?
Yeah, that's really the best thing about research, right? That is the thing you use to sell research to someone. So I fully agree. Okay, let's see what else we got. So I sent this to you. So it's basically like a flow chart. It starts with a box that says shiny new project. Then right below it, there's a decision point which asks you, do you have time? If the answer is no, then don't do it. If the answer is yes, the box says no, you don't, meaning no, you don't have time. So I thought that was quite relatable because I'm
Absolutely.
always in this position of like picking up a new project when I haven't finished the 10
Hmm.
other projects that I need to be
Hmm.
doing.
Yeah.
And I guess a fairly common problem for people in research, and I guess otherwise too. But what I really
Stop
love,
sharing. Stop sharing.
oh, sorry, no, but I do want to show
Oh,
your
sorry.
response
Go
to it.
on.
I thought that was
Mm.
super cute.
Yeah.
So you basically like struck off the don't do it and the no, you don't, and then changed it to let's go and let's fucking go. That's actually quite inspiring. Yeah.
Because this is what we do, man.
Yep. Any thoughts on that?
Exactly what I scribbled. Every time something new comes up, I am super excited. Be it research or like non-research as well. Even you, for that matter. Oh, this is coming up. Let's do it. Yeah, I'm in all the time.
Yeah.
But yeah, do you have like any practical advice on sort of finding a balance or um, finishing? Firstly, there are two things to this, right? Firstly, you're doing something and then being able to finish that off versus,
Mhm.
and then the other problem is if a lot of different things are coming towards you, being able to make a decision in terms of what is more important, what is more essential right now, and depending on interestingness versus or like practicality, whatever, and then making that decision.
Yeah. Um, I mean, of course, I haven't figured it out fully, something I struggle with even today.
Yeah,
But I
yeah, a
think things
lot.
that have helped me a bit is one, trusting trusting that you will come back and do the things that are important eventually, right? I think you really like, and it can't be this fake level of trust which is um like it is like, oh, I like, you say you will trust it, then things will work, and then then it will be fine. No, you really need to trust yourself that when push comes to shove, you will come and like do the things that need to get done, because what that lets you do is like gives you the freedom to explore a bit.
Mm,
And I think with enough time and with enough freedom, you do manage like to find the few core things that genuinely hold your interest. And that's very different from arbitrarily choosing that these are the main things and I will focus on them, and like imposing yourself to like focus on them even when you're not feeling like it, or like there's some other thing that you want to do. I think those two things are very different because I've tried the second in the past and it doesn't work. But when I've given myself the freedom to explore different topics, I do find myself coming back to a few things uh, again and again, and those have sort of become central themes that I build upon. So that is number one. I guess trust yourself and give yourself the freedom to explore a bit. Um, the second one is also something we've talked about a few times, just better note taking. Like when you're doing things, just track what you do so that it becomes easier for you to come back to. I think that just increases the chances that both you find your interest back in the thing that you were doing, and also the chance that you see it to completion. Uh,
mm,
yeah, and it has many other benefits. Like that also makes it a lot easier for you to give up on stuff that's not working. Like if you're
mm,
doing something and for whatever reason there's no progress, or like you're not feeling like it, if you have documented it and you know that there's enough that you've done it nicely enough that you can come back to it later, that gives you the freedom to stop it and then go focus
mm,
on more important stuff.
mm.
Um,
That's a good
Yeah, I
point. Yeah.
think those two for me is what has helped a lot. Okay, but that being said, something that still haven't fully gotten my thing around. But it's
Yeah,
a
I think
good
I
problem to
actually,
have.
I really, I do struggle with this quite a bit. I feel I do get very excited very quickly, and then um, things that were ongoing, again the note taking point also comes in play here. I think my documentation is not that great, so sometimes I'm doing something, and then even if it was making progress, I'm not able to gauge it, that yes, it is making progress, and if I reaches this level, it would already be completed, as opposed to right now switching gears and doing something else. Yeah,
Mm,
even in terms of making bigger decisions, I guess, the things that I'm figuring out right now in terms of what to do next, applying for new jobs versus staying in, it's the same question, just at a bigger scale, I guess.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Then
I feel
this
like I'm making things
was
super serious.
no, bro. It's good. It's not much to say about this one. This is just a tweet from Keta. Um, nice, interesting person. So it just says, I'll just read it out. So pros and cons of doing things. Pros, things. Cons, doing.
Some of them are just so relatable, man.
Yeah, this one is so funny. I don't know why I found it so funny. I don't want to ruin it by explaining it. Do you have something
Yeah,
to add to it?
not really, no. It just says it for itself, speaks for
Yeah,
itself.
yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
this one, I guess I can say something
Hmm.
about it because I recently
Sure.
had this experience.
Hmm.
So this is from somebody called Ruth Hook. It's a tweet. And she says, has there ever been a problem in science where the solution hasn't been, it's far more nuanced, complex, and context dependent than we thought? Just once it would be nice for overwhelming complexity to suddenly simplify itself with additional understanding from a new discovery. So I shared this right after I had this exact experience where
Okay.
I was working on this problem, right? We had this question of why should I say why? Okay, so why certain genes form our loops. You don't have to know what certain genes behave in a certain way, right? And we had like many different um theories as to why that would be the case, and I was like trying to test a bunch of them, many different things, from like, oh, maybe it's secondary structure, maybe, oh, it's not as simple as that, it's like the number of stem loops this thing forms in the very beginning, and oh, maybe the stem loops would be very short. Like it just kept getting more and more complicated.
Lots of
The
things,
answer
lots of things. Yeah.
Yeah, and the answer was like constantly no, 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 no. And then suddenly, for some random reason, I checked something as stupid as GC content. And then turns out
Hmm.
that looks to be like really the case. Like that was the thing that
Hmm.
is like really separating my two groups that I'm
Hmm.
comparing. And I was like, what the fuck? It's
Hmm.
GC content. Like I'm glad I found it. But at the
Hmm.
same time, it was like my initial expectations were so high of it, like needlessly.
Right,
So
right, right.
at first I was annoyed, but then I'm like, oh, that's actually so simple. Like that's so much easier to
Hmm.
explain. Anybody can like
Hmm.
understand it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Actually, that's so true for a lot of things that we interpret, right? We get some results, we get some insights. We start thinking about, oh, what's happening here? But we miss the most basic things. And then when you're describing it to people or you're just discussing with people and they're like, oh, maybe it's just because the cell cycle is different. The timing of the cell
yeah.
cycle is different or something like, and you're like, oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess the difference is who's making that finding, right? Like if the field is
True.
struggling and then they're coming up with very complex solutions, and you're the one that comes up with a very simple one, I guess that would be very, very gratifying, right? So
Mm-hmm.
I think that tweet actually in the comment section had a lot of great examples of cases in science where this was the
Ah,
case, where the
oh, I would like
prevalent
to see some of them.
yeah, the prevalent theories were like rather complicated, but then the actual discovery was like almost mind-blowingly simple. So I think a few examples
Mm.
that I remember was the first one was I think DNA being our genetic material carrier. People were like, oh, it's too simple. It probably doesn't carry that much information. They were thinking it's proteins, and then how is it encoded in
Mm.
proteins? There were like lots of theories.
Mm.
Turns out it's
Yeah.
literally just like letters, right? Just nucleotide sequences.
Mm.
That's all. So I guess things like that. Like that.
I think it is getting more and more difficult to get such bigger, simple, basic um, explanations now. I feel, the research itself has become so complicated. People are working on such complex problems with so many different caveats and so many different factors playing a role, as opposed to something like, oh, just this interaction, these two proteins interact. It's not that anymore.
Yeah.
So this basically is a big square, and the biggest part of it is, it says not even wrong, and then you have a smaller square within it which says wrong, and then a really small square which says right. What this is trying to sort of show is, in research, a lot of the times we do so many experiments and then we don't even know if what we found is correct or not because of so many different reasons. So you're still confused about your results, and then very small times, like very few times, you actually find out, okay, what you did, you got a negative result, what you were expecting is sort of not true. But at least that's a concrete result, and that sort of at least tells you that what you were thinking was wrong. You can move on from here, you can think about new hypothesis, versus a really smaller square which is right, where what you thought actually turned out to be true, which obviously is satisfying, but a very small proportion of the time you spend in the lab.
Yeah, which is so true. There's actually a related one. Yeah. So doing research, it's like the first pie chart is just 90% hard work and then 10% is results. And an asterisk next to it says this is best case scenario.
Really?
But writing about research is like 90% writing about the results and you spend only like 10% writing about how you did it.
Yeah.
Um, we've had this conversation before, which is basically touching on trying to publish your negative results, right? Yeah, because so many things we try, they don't work out and they just get buried somewhere. Or sometimes they do work, but maybe it's not a full story, so you can't really make a paper out of it. All these things just get buried for no reason when it's good work. You've
Yeah.
thought about all the edge cases. This could be very useful information for other people, but right now we just don't have a nice way to put it out there. So this is
Yeah.
something I guess the system has to figure out. I don't know, like, because there's no really independent publishing in science.
I mean, even the thing that you are describing is still a small proportion of the amount of work that gets in, right? Even during the PhD, of course, there are some parts which are maybe short stories which could be published, but even apart from that, maybe there's like still 60 to 70% of work which really did not go anywhere. Maybe you could have done some more probing, but even in spite of that, maybe there was really nothing. So that's sort of just the nature of the work. You're just starting with some information and like making hypothesis and trying to see if that's true or not. The cells will tell
Yeah.
you if it is true or not.
Yeah, I mean, if you're in the not even wrong ballpark, then of course it's not worth sharing, right? Like that's just things you have to do until you
Which
get
is
into
again like
the
really the biggest chunk.
until you
Wrong
get to
part.
the wrong or the right. But I think the wrong also gets left out, right?
Right.
You only the right makes it. But I feel like at
True.
least in the
True.
wrong space,
Agreed.
if you could share some, that would be quite interesting.
Yeah.
Not for everybody,
Yeah.
obviously. Like not the world won't care if what you tried and didn't work, but there will be, if there are other people working on it, they would care. Okay. I guess that's most of it, no? I don't think we have. Okay.
Cool.
Pretty
How do
good.
you want to wrap this up?
Um, I don't know. Do you have ideas?
Let's see.
I thought we could do like a year reflection, but I think I already went over some of it, and maybe we'll just do that as intro for a different episode. Okay.
All right.
Okay. See ya.
Bye.